bloggers play detective, some claiming a fake White House reporter and a missing boy possibly sold into the sex trade are one and the same. Ahead, the boy's mother tells Bo whether she thinks the phony correspondent is her son.
We're starting off with what could be a real explosive case today. An incredible story. Lisa, take us back to how this story all started.
All right, Bo, here's what we got. The story begins with an Iowa boy missing since 1982. Newspaper delivery boy Johnny Gosch disappeared, quote, under mysterious circumstances in West Des Moines. Now, some claim the boy was kidnapped, sexually abused, later sold into a child sex slavery ring, and then brainwashed by the CIA. They claim he was part of a government-sponsored mind and behavioral control program called the Monarch Project, trained to be part of a top-secret escort program. Now fast forward to the year 2005. That's where the story picks up. The internet was abuzz with word that a former White House reporter named Jeff Gannon, who worked for the Talon News, could be the missing 12-year-old. The claim is being based on alleged similar body markings and a lack of info about Gannon's early years. Also fueling the fire, Jeff Gannon was exposed in February to actually be a guy named James Guckert, a man with simply no journalism experience who had links to several gay escort addresses online. A private investigator has even gone so far as to publicly state that he believes Jeff Gannon is actually Johnny Gosch. Now, this is where Bo picks up the story. Bo.
So do we think Jeff Gannon could actually be Johnny Gosch? The missing boy's mother seems to think so. With us right now is Noreen Gosch. Also here is Andy Stevenson. He's the online investigator familiar with the Johnny Gosch case. And Andy was the first to reach out to Noreen Gosch to talk about this possible connection. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right. So as far as we're concerned here now, Noreen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Noreen, when did you first come to your attention? When did it first come to your attention that this person, Jeff, could be your son?
It was in late February that I was contacted by Andy Stevenson, and he asked me if I was aware of the stories that were circulating on the internet. And I said I didn't know anything. I hadn't heard that. And he sent me an email explaining the situation and some of the blogs that were on the internet links and some photographs. And that's when I learned about it for the first time.
You know, Andy, as far as you're concerned, you were the online investigator. I mean, I read through some of these stories here. Some of them are knocking me off my feet with all these blogs about CIA, Chinese people, sex crimes, and children in sex duos and all kinds of things. Andy, what is fact and what is fiction? Because as far as I'm concerned, my investigations into these computer websites and all that, anyone can print anything.
Well, sure, anybody can print anything, but when you're backing it up with facts and you're doing the investigative work, you know, I don't like to say things unless they're true. So, you know, we have done a lot of the work. We don't know for sure whether Mr. Gannon is Johnny, but the photographic evidence is quite compelling, and there are several similarities between Johnny Gosch and Mr. Gannon.
You know, as far as Noreen, now this was your son. You say you saw her back in 1997? Did you see your son in 1997? Were you sure that was your son when you saw him? Were you sure that was your son?
In 1997, I was sure that that was my son.
Right. And then when he came to see you, what did he say to you?
When he came to see me, he told me how the entire network operated, that he was taken for the purpose of sex and for prostitution, and that he had names for me to give to authorities to begin to work on, hopefully to resolve the case. And I tried to convince him that he needed to be the one to go forward, and he was too afraid, too frightened to even do that. He was afraid that he would be killed.
Your investigation led to. Now, you put some substantial evidence. Did you do a background on this Jeff person?
We have looked into some records that came from Pennsylvania where Mr. Gannon / Guckert supposedly went to high school. We've looked at photographs, and some of them match, some of them don't. There's several photographs that look strikingly like Johnny Gosch, and there are some that don't even look like him.
My interest was that when I had first called and started checking on him, I could see it was a typical thing where the investigations weren't done the way they should have been done. And then when a guy shows up in the White House or at press conferences without proper credentials and stuff. This rang a bell right off the bat as to stuff that I had seen when I was doing.
As far as I'm concerned, whatever you do in your life, if it's not a crime involved, whatever you want to be involved with, I don't really care. What I care about is people making up stories about other people and making you live now on the edge of your life.
Here's my question. Jeff, have you reached out to Noreen? What have you told her?
I have not been in communication with this woman because I can't determine whether some of the emails I'm getting are actually this woman or not. There are hundreds of people that are contacting me about this story. I have no idea who they are. Nameless, faceless people making wild accusations.
Do you have a pen and paper? Because I can give you her phone number right after the show. Bo, are you on the payroll?
No, I'm not on the payroll. But when a guy is falsely accused, you got to stand up for innocent people. You're an attorney. You understand that, too. The man is going to give his DNA. The man is 48 years old. Johnny Gosch would be 35 years old. He looks 48 years old. I'm 54 years old. He looks 48 years old. Why can't the guy be telling the truth?
How about we talk about Gannon Gate? Jeff, are you on any type of payroll, White House, Republican?
Absolutely not.
When Armstrong Williams admitted getting paid to promote administration programs, President Bush said it was wrong.
Our agenda ought to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. I'm confident you'll be, over the course of the next 4 years, willing to give our different policies an objective look. Won't you? Yes, I can see that. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Senate Democratic leaders have painted a very bleak picture of the U.S. economy.
Yes, that was Jeff Guckert, who President Bush called on right after the president talked about objectivity. Never mind the irony, though. Everybody in Washington knows that reporters who ask tough questions of this administration are often punished, and those who tee up the White House talking points are rewarded. The question is, with Jeff Guckert, did the reward go too far?
Correspondent who has been lobbing softball questions at the president and his press secretary. Turns out he is actually a paid escort for wealthy homosexuals. I'm not kidding about that. He actually had 2 jobs. One obviously was sleazy and shameful, and the other was a gay male prostitute.
Secret Service press pass with an alias.
I mean, I
mean, really, I cannot figure it out.
Well, what do you think of my suggestion? I mean,
well, I'm saying once he got into the White House, fine, someone was leaking him stories. But I'm asking how he gets through the FBI clearance and the Secret Service. How does that happen?
Well, I think there was a mole in the White House, or maybe a gerbil would be a more... All right, I apologize for that. Leslie Stahl, I thank you for joining us.
The human mind, can it be controlled by someone else to perform acts against the will of the individual?
Shoot Bobby Raymond through the forehead.
Yes, ma'am. Is control of the human being, such as the Manchurian Candidate, possible?
We are not professing to tell you the complete story of these activities.